Hi, I am Muhammad Barakat, and I'd like to welcome you on my blog site. In this video, I'd like to introduce to you a very powerful and simple tool in Microsoft Excel that I actually use every day. The tool is called PivotTables. Let's assume that you work as information specialist in a big store or grocery shop, and that you have listed the items you sold during the month of December 2010. Along with each item, the week of the month, the item category, the sold quantity, total cost and total revenue are listed as well. For example, from the beverages category, you have sold 83 units of green tea that cost you $166 and that have generated $248 of revenue. Now, you need to report these financial figures to your supervisor, who only needs to see the total cost and revenue on category level. That is, she needs to see a report like the one on this summary sheet. As you can see, this table provides a summary of total cost and total revenue for items sold during December under each category. In my opinion, the best way to generate such a summary report is by using PivotTables in Microsoft Office Excel. Well, let's start using this exciting tool. First, select the list of data that you need to summarize, including the headings. From the Insert tab of the ribbon, click on the Pivot Table arrow and select Pivot Table. This triggers a wizard to create a pivot table. You first need to select the range of data you want to summarize. Since you already selected the data before initiating the wizard, Excel defaults the selection range. Then you can specify whether you need to create the pivot table on the same sheet, existing worksheet, or on a separate new sheet. I personally recommend using a new sheet for the pivot table. After you click OK, a new sheet is automatically opened with a pivot table field list shown on the right hand side of the sheet. The field list is divided into 5 areas or boxes that you will see that you will use to create your pivot table. The first area, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. The first area is actually a listing of the fields or the headings listed on your data sheet. If you remember, your data is composed of the item, the week, the item name, the item category, sold quantity, total cost, and total revenue. And these fields are listed automatically in this area. The report filter area is actually a filter that you can apply to the entire table based on one or more of the data fields. The column labels area is used when you want to add a vertical grouping of data, while the row labels is used when you want to add horizontal grouping of data. And finally, the values area is where you want to place the data fields that you need to summarize, for example, the cost or revenue? Well, as I mentioned earlier, you need to report to your supervisor a summary of cost and revenue per item category. That is, you need to group your data by category. So, you drag the item category field into the row labels area. In the left side of the sheet, Excel starts building the pivot table simultaneously. Now, for each category, you need to present the sum of total cost and total revenue. So, you drag the total cost and total revenue fields in the values area. Notice that Excel uses the sum function as the default calculation type for numeric fields. However, you can change the calculation type to other functions such as average, maximum, minimum. To do that, click the summary field. Click the field, for example, the cost field or the revenue field, and select the value field settings. Then choose whatever function you want to apply for the data: sum, count, average, maximum, minimum. Let's stick in this example to the sum function. You can also rename the field or the caption. Let's call it revenue. You can also change the number formatting of the data. Let's select the currency with no decimal places and hit OK. Then OK. So notice that the revenue field is summarized in dollar terms with no decimals. Doing the same for the cost field. Let's call it cost. Formatting it as currency with no decimals and hit OK. By this, you have created a neatly designed summary report that provides the information required by your manager without the need to provide unnecessary detailed items under each category. One more thing, let's say that your manager needs to see this monthly report divided into weeks. For example, how much cost it was for candy, let's say, in week 2, and how much it was for week 1, etc. Here comes the use of the column labels. This area. You just need to drag the week field into the column labels. Here, the cost and revenue are broken down to weeks per month. Week 1, week 2, cost and revenue, week 3, week 4, and the total for all weeks or for the month. Another interesting feature is the filter area. Well, suppose that you decided to present only the figures of week 2 and hide those of other weeks. One way of doing so is by dragging the week field into the filter area. So let's drag or move the week field from column labels to filter, to report filter. Then select the week that you want to make visible in the data. Week 2, and hit OK. So these are the categories that have only been sold during the second week of December 2010. Okay, by this we come to the end of this video, and I hope that you have found it useful to create summary reports more efficiently. See you in next videos. Thank you very much.